The world is watching. Israel is planning. And Iran. Iran is listening. Despite President Trump pressing pause on war, Israel is still locked on target airstrikes, special forces, even commando raids. All on the table. The message is clear: Iran must never get the bomb. But Iran's not standing still. They know an attack is coming, and they vowed to hit back hard. Despite a clear message from President Donald Trump that the United States won't back a strike on Iran for now. Israeli officials say the option remains very much on the table. Behind closed doors, discussions are intensifying. Three sources, including an Israeli official, told Reuters that a potential attack on Iran's nuclear facilities is still being actively considered, possibly within months. Israel's position is unwavering. Tehran must never acquire a nuclear weapon. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu insists that any deal with Iran must dismantle its nuclear program completely. Yet while diplomacy unfolds, military plans simmer. U.S. and Iranian negotiators are preparing for a second round of nuclear talks in Rome this Saturday. But Israel has already proposed multiple strike scenarios to Washington, some mapped out for late spring or summer. The plans include a mix of airstrikes and commando operations that vary in severity and could set back Tehran's ability to weaponize its nuclear program by months or possibly years. Earlier this month, Trump reportedly told Netanyahu in Washington that diplomacy would take priority and that military action was off the table, at least for now. But Israeli officials aren't backing down. Instead, they're considering a scaled-down independent operation, a limited strike that wouldn't require heavy U.S. involvement but still carries enormous risk. No one knows when or if Israel will strike. But with nuclear talks just beginning, a sudden move could set a fragile diplomacy and distance Israel from its most powerful ally, according to former senior U.S. officials. Many of Israel's past plans require direct U.S. military backing or intelligence sharing. Some were even shown to the Biden administration last year. Now Israel is asking for at least one thing: help defending itself if Iran retaliates. When asked, the U.S. National Security Council pointed to Trump's recent remarks, when a U.S. president said he hasn't ruled anything out, but he's not in a rush for war. The Israeli Prime Minister's office did not immediately respond to a request for comment. A senior Israeli official told Reuters that no decision has been made yet on an Iranian strike, while a senior Iranian security official said Tehran was aware of Israeli planning and that an attack would provoke a harsh and unwavering response from Iran. We have intelligence from reliable sources that Israel is planning a major attack on Iran's nuclear sites. This stems from dissatisfaction with ongoing diplomatic efforts regarding Iran's nuclear program and also from Netanyahu's need for conflict as a means of political survival from Israel's perspective. This may be a good moment for a strike against Iran's nuclear facilities. Iran allies Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon have been hammered by Israel since the Gaza war began, while the Houthi movement in Yemen has been targeted by U.S. airstrikes. Israel also severely damaged Iran's air defense systems in an exchange of fire in October 2020 for a top Israeli official. Speaking with reporters earlier this month, recognized there was some urgency if the goal was to launch a strike before Iran rebuilds its air defenses. But the senior official refused to state any timeline for possible Israeli action and said discussing this would be pointless. The writer said, Iran President Masoud Pezeshkian said during a visit to the health ministry in Tehran on April 18th that Iran is not seeking war, but trying to resolve regional differences. He also accused Israel of acts of terror, saying it carries out terrorism through software, hardware, and social media. The important issue: we are trying to resolve our regional differences. We're trying to resolve our differences with the world, that we are not and never have been seeking war. We are victims of terrorism. More than 26,000 and 24,000 people have been victims of terror in our streets. It is Israel that is committing acts of terror. It carries out terrorism openly through software, through hardware, and through its social activities. In other words, it does whatever it wants. And yet they sit there and talk about human rights, that we will never submit to any humiliation. By the grace of God, this is our belief and conviction. But of course, we are not looking for war with anyone. We want there to be peace and security in the world. We want all the people living on this planet to live in safety and peace. Meanwhile, Axios reported, citing 3 Israeli sources familiar with the matter, that Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer and Mossad head David Barnea met with U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, on April 18th in Paris. The unannounced meeting took place ahead of the second session of U.S.-Iran nuclear talks that Witkoff is set to hold in Rome. The report said that the Israelis were hoping to influence the U.S. position ahead of the talks amid fears that the Americans could agree to a deal similar to the one the Obama administration reached with Iran in 2015 and which was abandoned in 2018 by U.S. President Donald Trump. The meeting came amid fallout from a New York Times report partially confirmed by Trump on April 17th that Israel planned a joint assault with the U.S. next month on Iran's nuclear sites, but that Trump vetoed the plan in favor of negotiations. Neither Israel nor a spokesman for Witkoff have commented on the meeting. However, Defense Minister Israel Katz said he was committed to preventing Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. When I was appointed defense minister, I pledged to lead to central goals preventing Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons and winning the war. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and I are committed, together with all parties, to leading a clear line that will prevent Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons, that we will not allow threats of annihilation against the State of Israel. This is our responsibility and historic task, and we will do whatever it takes to realize them. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said earlier on April 18th that the U.S. administration was looking for a peaceful solution with Iran, but will never tolerate the country developing a nuclear weapon.